What's going on, everyone? Welcome along to Arsenal Fan TV, and I'm left leaving that game with a lot of disappointment, but moreover frustration. The fact that Arsenal have completely dominated the game against Tottenham Hotspur today, and all we can show for it is a 1-1 draw against what I regard as one of the worst Spurs teams that we faced in recent years. And Tottenham offered absolutely nothing to us today. The fact that they just lined up very defensively, brought absolutely nothing to the table. Pochettino had them lined up in a very defensive situation, and we weren't able to break that down. I mean, Spurs, if you want to be regarded as the biggest club in North London, at least come out and play football. I mean, it's as simple as that, because they were just very poor, very lethargic today. And the fact that we couldn't really break them down really emphasises how we played today. The fact that this was a North London derby, I really would have expected Arsenal to at least take it up that extra inch, and we didn't do that today. That's where the difference lies. The fact that we didn't look raring to go. I mean, I've been to a good few North London derbies in my time, and this was probably the one where we started it the slowest. The way that first half went, the way that we just looked very lacklustre going forward. The only real person trying to drive it forward in that first half was Jack Wilshere along with Oxlade-Chamberlain. The fact that we didn't start Alexis Sanchez today, what? He's been our best player for a majority of the season, for God's sake. Why isn't this guy starting the game? Not to say Chamberlain had a bad game, because he was again fantastic today. He got the goal, but we saw Ozil played on the left-hand side again, which wasn't disastrous today, but then again it kind of removes an outlet of the pitch in an area that arguably we're quite good in. If we were to put Sanchez in that scenario, take out someone like Wilshere or Ramsey, put in Ozil in the hole, and that would have just been a lot better in my opinion. Would have given us a better outlet on either side of the wings, would have given Ozil runners, and then you still got a box-to-box player alongside him in either Ramsey or Wilshere. I mean, trying to accommodate all these players, I can understand it's really hard for Wenger, but you got to take things into consideration at a point. And just say that it wasn't working for us today. And the fact we went back to a 4-1-4-1, that was so frustrating. I mean, last week we had an excellent performance against Villa in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Ozil linking up with Danny Welbeck absolutely superbly. Wasn't able to do that because he was drifting out on the left-hand side, which was massively frustrating. But like I said, Ozil still had a good game today, so huge credit has to go to him there. But 4-1-4-1, playing Arteta in that CDM role, which just, like I've said many times throughout videos now, you've got that massive gap between the centre-backs and the attackers, just that whole gaping space in the middle of the park, which we saw exploited so many times, as even more so when Flamini came on. There was a point in the game where Vertonghen was able to run from the Spurs half nearly into our penalty box. It was that bad. There's no cover in that area, and 4-1-4-1 just allows teams to roam in that space. I dread to think what the likes of Fabregas, Oscar, Willian, Hazard will do to that space when we play Chelsea next week. We can't persist with a 4-1-4-1 because it slows our play down, makes us very lethargic, and it leaves us incredibly vulnerable. We've got to look at who we're playing and change our tactics in some respects, because it was very, very poor in that first half. I mean, in the second half, arguably we did turn it up a bit. We came out a lot brighter, came very close on goal. We looked a lot rejuvenated, and I think a big part of that was that we did have to make a couple of substitutions. I think we took off Jack Wilshere, brought on Santi Cazorla, because Wilshere's injured now, Arteta's also injured, which just all these massive blows for us. And Ramsey's injured as well, Ramsey going off, and then Ramsey was actually having a decent game today, which was massively frustrating as well to see him go off. Same goes for Wilshere. Arteta, I actually thought he was having a good game, made some good tackles, seemed to be holding his role in the midfield part really well. Flamini came on and just showed that he's not really capable of playing against teams of this calibre. I say teams of this calibre, he's not really capable of living up to what we expect of him now. He was diabolical today, and I love Flamini, I love him to bits, I love his passion for the club, but that he's just not up to scratch. He drops in far too deep and just allows teams to roam in the middle of the park, and it's so frustrating to watch. Diaby wasn't even in the team today. He'd have done such a good job in that role, but you've got to say Diaby has to start next week against Chelsea. And what's worrying is that we've got Wilshere, Ramsey, and Arteta, and then that leaves that holding role for Flamini, and then you've got no box-to-box player alongside him unless we play Diaby, which is just... we're going to be a depleted team going into that game against Chelsea, which is really, really worrying in my opinion. But relating back to the game at hand that we played today, the goal we conceded, which was really against the run of play, because like I said, we were playing a lot better in that second half. We came out of our shell a bit. We were playing attacking football. It was really exciting to see us going forward. Welbeck, Chamberlain, Ozil linking up really well, but it looked like we were the ones that were going to score, not Spurs. And caused our own problems today because Spurs were never going to score against us. The way this just causing our own problems. I think it was a really poor pass to put him in a really difficult scenario in Flamley's defence, but Flamley then did an awful job of protecting the ball. It was taken away from him, I can't quite remember who by, but it was fed in by Lamela to Chadley. Simple finish past Chesney, and 1-0 down. And at that point, with about half an hour to go, it was looking really, really bad at that point. And then Tottenham pretty much had to do what they'd been doing the whole game, set up in a defensive style, time waste through the likes of Lloris and Danny Rose, most notably. And it was really hard for us to break them down, but we did do it about 10 minutes later through Oxlade-Chamberlain. Great work by our attacking prowess to get into this situation. Good finish by Chamberlain, but it wasn't enough. I would expect us to go out and continue to press against Tottenham, but they made it very difficult for us in the sense that they slowed the game down at every single opportunity. And whenever we got into a burst of space and pace, it just got slowed down immediately by Spurs. But that's not to say we should have broken them down. This is a team that lost 1-0 to a very poor West Brom side at home last week, and the fact that we can't beat that is really poor. I mean, if we were able to go to the bridge and beat Chelsea, then that would compensate for the result we got today. But that is a huge ask. I think it's going to take a miracle to do that, in quite frankly. But I'm really disappointed with how things have gone today. We really should have got the 3 points, and the fact that we haven't is just, it's leaving me with a huge feeling of frustration, and I'm sure you're all feeling it as well. But we've got a big game midweek against Galatasaray where I'm hoping we can get the win. We should be able to get the win, but with all these injuries, it is going to be very difficult. And in that game against Chelsea, absolutely dreading that in all honesty, but going into it with a slight sense of optimism. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts on Arsenal's game against Spurs today. If you haven't enjoyed the video, please give it a like rating. Subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV and check out my own channel, AFC Game by Game. And as always, thank you for watching guys.
Get the Arsenal Fan TV app, available on Apple and Android now.